So I read a bunch of articles and watched a couple podcast comparisons of the different podcasting mics that were out there to choose these ones. And I chose light over darkness.
You chose light over darkness?
Mm-hmm.
Are we recording right now?
Yeah.
Tell me more about this light over darkness choice.
Well, so the other, there's basically, this mic doesn't do radio voice by nature. So the other mics that were on the market kind of tuned to that lower spectrum and kind of make you sound...
Oh, like those microphones make you automatically sound like you're a late night talk show DJ?
Yes. And then ever since I watched the comparison and stuff, when I see videos where people are using those microphones, it makes me laugh because I can tell immediately that like their voice isn't like that. It's like being modified. So I went with these ones because I thought it was a little more natural.
Because these microphones make you sound more natural.
Well, it wasn't adding a lot of color. I felt like that's something you should be doing.
You want a more broad spectrum microphone than one that's keying into like a deeper frequency just to make you sound important.
Right. So, I mean, it's just some curve to this microphone, but not as harsh as those ones were where I felt it was an artificial affect more than anything.
Cool. I'm glad you chose the microphones that you did because they are of a higher quality and they demonstrate that we are constantly improving this show for our listeners.
They're not of a higher quality. They're actually of a lower quality, but they're a more appropriate type. Those other microphones were really nice.
But they're omnidirectional. They weren't?
No, they weren't omnidirectional. They were just large diaphragm condenser microphones, which are designed... Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. Damon is the one who knows sound equipment, so I'm very grateful that he runs the sound for this show and gets the equipment. You're the best. You're the minister of hardware for your aleatoric reality, the podcast that invites you to talk about podiatry with a neuroscientist.
It does.
Shall I start with an invocation to Fortuna?
Is it a new one?
Yeah, I got a new one.
Oh, okay, rock it.
I just wrote it just now when you were trying to get me to do a sound check.
Oh, okay.
All rise. You don't have to really rise. I'm not rising. O Fortuna, ye cosmic force behind the equilibrating factor of the dopamine system, giving us bliss and despair in equal but uneven measures. Grant us the highs and lows that keep life interesting.
Okay.
There you have it.
That is an invocation to dopamine.
So the only news I have is that I have been working on the websites, and
Yes, you have.
if you get on the Patreon, you can hear we've recorded us rolling for how many URLs to get and what URLs to get. I think we have that audio somewhere. We're going to put that on Patreon, right?
Yep.
And I should roll for which one to plug right now, because what I was thinking is every episode we would say, like, rotate which URL we give out.
Yep.
So I have to make a list.
Spoiler
of them.
alert, on that episode, we rolled for the URLs we were going to pick and ended up with multiples, and it's presented some difficulties, but I think we've overcome them.
I think it's going pretty well. So the one I'm going to plug right now is yar.army. That's YAR.army. You can go there and listen to the episodes in the browser. You can also get a secret mission there. So yar.army is...
And expanded show notes and...
The show notes aren't on yar.army.
Oh.
There are websites of ours that have show notes. Damon and I haven't discussed this.
Like most
I
things.
was not planning on putting all that everywhere, because the main one, we rolled for which one was going to be the main one. The main one is going to have the show notes, but the other, like, they're all going to be different, right? They're all going to have different stuff. So they will have the in-browser like episode player, and then they will have their own unique thing for that URL. But the main one is just going to be the one with the show notes. Unless by the time this episode comes out, Damon might convince me to put the show notes on all of them. So tell you what, you go and find the websites and see which ones have show notes. But the one I'm plugging right now is yar.army. You can join the most elite fighting force that doesn't exist. Who doesn't want to join a fighting force that doesn't exist? If you're a pacifist, you should be joining a fighting force that doesn't exist. So
right.
go to yar.army.
We also have t-shirts.
We do have a t-shirt available for sale on TeePublic, and that'll be linked somewhere. I mean, it'll go on one of the sites. I just don't know which one yet.
Yeah, we're still disorganized. Apologies, but
There'll probably be a number of T-shirts that you can choose from, and we're going to do dollar voting to see which ones are good. You got any news, Damon, besides the T-shirt?
No, not really. No, just
all right.
Had a busy week.
Well, we do need your help, listener. We would like some 5-star reviews. So if you want to give us a review, please do give us a 5-star review. Of all the things we invite you to roll for, please don't roll for how many stars to give us, because the algorithm will screw us if we do not get 5-star reviews. So please go give us a 5-star review. If you have suggestions, we're more than happy to take them. Email us at youraleatoricreality@gmail.com for feedback. We love to hear from our listeners, and we will answer questions. One of the things that I was doing, I didn't do it effectively in our conversation that we're going to have in a minute with Dr. Thomas Mast. I was trying to do some random disruptions, and one of the disruptions I was going to do was going to be to answer listener emails interrupt our guests to answer listener emails. I didn't get to that, but I do want to answer a listener email right now. I'm going to roll for which one I have 5. I'm going to roll my brand new 5-sided die for which one. I got a 5, and that is Randomizer Roulette. I just listened to the episode about random challenges. Which episode would that be? Because we give a listener challenge on every episode. Anyway, it says, I just listened to the episode about random challenges, and I love it. Can you give me a challenge that's random but not too wild? Something that I can do over the weekend to shake up my routine. Well, you just listen to the end of the episode, listener, and we will give you a listener challenge that will work for you.
Is that just spam?
How could it be? It says I listened to the episode about random challenges.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, we can segue into our conversation with a former university professor currently in podiatry school to become a foot doctor. And why did we choose him? Because it's random. Why not?
Also, we definitely want to involve more guests, and we just wanted to kind of break the cherry on that and figure out how it's done, and kind of like when we did our first episode where we didn't know exactly what we're doing. But
why do you always want to talk about how much we don't know what we're doing?
Because I don't know.
You're being authentic?
Yeah, I guess that's just that's the way I am.
All right, Damon is nothing if not authentic.
I'm not
me. I'm a total poser. The way the show works, I should technically roll for whether it's going to be like professional, like personal friendly, or like mean and derogatory.
Oh, I mean, it is difficult to do all three, but
no, I mean, I would roll for one of those.
Right.
No,
so I'm saying like all three sounds fun, but that would be a hard conversation to have. You can just make fun of me the whole time if you want.
I can make. I'm just going to do what I just said: professional, personal, or mean. So I'm going to roll.
Oh, you're really going to roll?
Yeah. No. Seriously.
You're gonna...
So this was personal.
Okay.
This is my friend Tom Mast, who used to be my friend with a pool until he moved out of state. So now I don't have anywhere to go to a free pool anymore.
I apologize.
That's, I know that you wanted to keep the pool. Well, do you have a pool now?
I do have a pool. Yeah.
Like
it's smaller
pool?
though.
Well, I'm going to have to come out and get in your pool at some point.
No, this is a swimming pool.
So my friend Mast happens to also have a Ph.D. In something, and he was a university professor, I guess. And now he's trying to be a foot doctor or something. We'll get into it. That's the best I can do for an informal introduction. Tom Mast, PhD. Some people call him Dr. Mast. And from what I hear, he's trying to become a podiatrist. And I don't know if that's an MD thing, or would you be a different kind of doctor if
I
that
would
happened?
I'll be a different kind of doctor.
Does it require an MD?
So no, podiatrists get a degree called DPM, Doctor of Podiatric Medicine. So the school I'm at, I'm literally going to medical school for 4 years. And there's about 280 of us total, but only 20 of us are podiatry students. The rest are medical students. And then after that, I'll do 3 years of a residency.
That
And
sounds like
so,
an awful lot of school for someone who already has a PhD.
yeah, they wouldn't let me skip anything.
I bet you tried.
And that
Actually,
just it
yeah,
makes you like a licensed foot fetishist.
yes, that's exactly it. I get to touch feet. Uh,
Couldn't you just work at a shoe store?
you know, by my family name, I should, but
Yeah, right. There you go.
but I'm from the wrong side of the Mast family line, so I didn't get a store. I didn't get any country crafts from North Carolina or a shoe store in Michigan. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah,
Ironically, I went to high school with Kevin Mast, who is the son of the. So I think he's probably like somewhere in that lineage of.
there's so few of us.
So
The,
he's getting the free shoes.
yeah,
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 as I
All right.
understand it.
and so yeah, so I'll be in shoes, but in a different way.
Well,
Why?
Tom. Oh, go ahead, Damon.
Well, why feet?
So I actually, it's a multifactorial answer. I mean, I can give you a bunch of answers.
How about
The
the truth?
No, so yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't think of things in strictly A to B very often, but I would say the most like direct reason, I was teaching in Michigan. I got a teaching gig out here, and I really missed being in the lab. So I used to be a bench scientist. So I used to like do experiments on mice, and so I missed doing stuff with my hands in the lab. And a modern podiatrist, so basically anybody who's graduated in the past 15, 20 years, basically all you do are little surgeries all day long.
Ooh.
So
And
um,
that's desirable or not desirable?
yeah, yeah, it's
Okay.
desirable because I just get to do stuff. Like there's a problem in front of me and I solve it with my hands.
Hmm.
So like so
Right.
like bunion surgeries, that's you're actually cutting a bone and resetting it with a plate.
Wow.
Just stuff like that. Um, so that's what
Why
I'm
don't you just
interested.
do why don't you just do woodworking in the garage like a normal father?
Yeah, like
So you're not the first person to say that.
sorry, I'm not trying to poo-poo the whole
The first person to say
thing.
that was probably your wife.
Yes. And the second person was my sister. No,
Yeah.
it's there's nothing wrong with poo-pooing what I'm doing. That's everybody has questions about it. Um, it's one of those things. So when I was teaching in Michigan, part of my teaching was to help students apply for things like medical school and PA school and graduate nursing programs. And I got to meet a couple of the podiatrists, and they just seemed to have a good gig. They also seemed to like enjoy their life. And so one of the other multifactorial things, one of the other factors, is I was actually born crippled. So I was born with like really messed up legs. So I had casts on my legs until I was about 3 years old. And actually, yesterday in class, we were going over gait analysis, and I was the person used for gait. And it turns out I have all sorts of things wrong with my feet. Um, and so, like, feet don't freak me out. The idea that, like, you got to walk on your feet, you have to
Mhm.
take care of your feet. It's just, um, and like, because so many people are like podiatry, um, the people who go into it either are really into it or they seem to be almost like grateful that they still get to do this important thing, um, but with like a little bit less of the ego.
Hmm.
Because I mean, so like there's a fun quote unquote stat that so podiatrists, like the modern podiatrists now, a big part of their caseload is dealing with people with diabetes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because so
Ge-
for whatever yeah, so for whatever reason, when you have diabetes, your blood vessels start to go bad. It's your eye, your kidney, and your feet. No, and if you have a diabetic wound on your foot and they have to cut off part of your foot, your life expectancy is now below like 5 years.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Just because it's
Uh,
symptomatic of other issues, then.
yes, and the diabetic foot wounds are something like the fifth most expensive singular healthcare cost in America.
So Billy Crystal was right to be concerned.
Yeah. Yes. And so like it's just and like I don't know if you guys have ever seen a diabetic foot ulcer. Like I met a dude who's had
just Jackie Gleason.
um, like I met a dude. Even though I have a PhD and I'm teaching and all this stuff, I still went and shadowed podiatrists and like watched what they did and like talked to patients. And like I met this dude. Like he was like straight out of central casting. But he's had this wound for 10 years. And the guy doctor keeps me because there's certain surgeries he could do to like get it done, but he just won't do the surgeries because he's like, can't do it, doc. Got to go hunting next week.
Wow.
Like, I'm just going to walk on this hole.
He thinks he's Lancelot or something? I mean, like, or no, who was it? Was it Galahad? Which one of the Knights of the Round Table had the wound? It was Lancelot.
Was it the Knight of Knee?
No,
might have been the Knights of Knee. So Tom, I do have some prepared questions for you. Oh. Not to cut off your wonderful story about foot wounds, but so for this show, and I haven't told you this before, I don't think, but the name of the show is Your Aleatoric Reality.
Oh.
And so for the questions, you're the first guest we've had on, so congratulations popping that cherry.
Thank you.
And so I have a methodology for guest questions.
Okay.
I have a number of questions that I have prepared for you, knowing you and knowing what I know about you and what would be interesting to ask. I have prepared some questions like that. I also have a list of generic conversation starters that you could ask anyone. I have some more kind of like what I call wacky questions that are like would you rathers and hypotheticals.
Okay.
And so I roll for how many of each category to take.
Sure.
And then I randomize the whole list.
Sure. All right.
So,
yeah.
And based on the rolls I made, there could have been as many as 19 questions. We ended up with actually 7 questions.
Oh, I got
so if you feel the need to weave any more foot wounds into these, you feel free. But I'm gonna start the festivities
I have one
with
question.
Is it scripted?
Yeah.
Okay.
I brought a list of 1 questions.
That's not there. You can't roll for a. There's no D1, Damon.
I know. I don't have to. I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right, I'll give you a free. Yeah, you get a freebie. There you go. Go ahead. Ask your question.
It sounded like you were judging Damien there, and you should.
I was judging him hard. Yeah.
Is this a toxic relationship?
A little bit. Yeah.
Sometimes. Mostly on mic for reasons I don't quite understand. No, I just have one question that I think we should ask this question of every single person that we interview, and that is, which would you rather have, flight or invisibility?
Oh, flight.
You're getting shot down.
No, I think that this was.
We've been over this on another episode where Damon's opinion is that as soon as you're flying, you're getting shot down. Somebody's going to shoot you down.
That's probably
nobody ever thinks of like what is going to happen when people see you flying.
Yeah,
it's easy to say like, oh, I would love to fly, but then you're a target, man.
So if we're going to be real, then if you're totally invisible, then you're going to be blind. So,
oh right, well,
leave it to the neuroscience scientists to get that angle.
I didn't say transparent. Invisibility could be some kind of a cloaking device, a light bending thing. There's a lot of ways to be invisible. I mean, I understand
you could have the power to make everyone in your vicinity's retinas transparent, and it's not you at all. It's just their retinas.
That's not good enough because there's still cameras.
All right. I don't think we should ask that question of every guest, but I'm only 50% of this operation.
Sorry.
So
no, I want to be like Jerry O'Connell and fly with like cans of spray deodorant and be a teenage heartthrob.
I thought flight with invisibility would be great, but not without invisibility. It seems really problematic.
I thought it would be important to tell you about Symmachus. Flavius Symmachus was a Roman politician during the Ostrogothic kingdom in Italy. Did you know about that?
Of course. I mean, I remember talking about this in junior high football.
Cool. All right. Well, my first official question for you, Tom, is what was the stupidest thing a student ever submitted for one of your classes?
Their answers?
Yeah. The stupidest like project. Um, I so I used to run this class where students got to pick whatever they wanted to do a little experiment with, and basically the whole excuse was to use a scanning electron microscope.
Mhm.
You know, so those are the images like that you're seeing, like, you know, like a really zoomed up picture of like a fruit fly, or like the wing of a butterfly in black and white. Um, and I had this kid who wanted to go to like chiropractic school, and I was like, oh, we'll do like something with bones, because he had no ideas. Nice kid, not a lot of ideas. And so we came up with this one. I had a mouse colony at the time. This might be a gross story, but I had a mouse
That's
colony
fine.
at the time, and I'd been breeding mice, and the mice were getting old, and they had to be retired permanently. And so there's this thing where when mammals are pregnant, their hips get loose, so the babies can get out.
That was
Mhm.
how they got pregnant.
Um,
It wasn't the hips that were loose to get them
so
pregnant.
so Damien, that's actually what the boy thought. Um,
Oh, it's Damon, by the way.
so it's not Damien.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Misha
He's
Misha lied to me.
the number of times that you have hassled me for saying my friend Damon instead of just Damon indicates to me that you know exactly what his name is.
It's true. Right. So anyway, so this kid, so I had all these mice, and it turns out I'd had some other females that never had a litter. So then we took pictures of the part of their hips called the pubic symphysis. And it turns out when female mice have had enough babies, their pubic symphysis doesn't go back. They're instead of it being a little, they're supposed to be like a bone, a wad of cartilage, and then another bone. And so then like your pelvis is like a stable ring, right? Like the way like right now you can like move on your legs and stuff, and your pelvis isn't floppy. That's because the bones are connected by a stiff piece of cartilage.
Hmm.
But in female mice, if they've had enough litters, that stiff piece of cartilage literally turns into a ligament. And it's like a tennis bracelet, and it becomes all floppy. And this kid goes to then present this to the class, because at the end of the class, you had to make a PowerPoint, you had to present your hypothesis and your data, and like how long, for him, he was measuring how long the pubic symphysis was, and it got longer. And he talked about how the female mice now had a blown out vagina, and I had to like, the only time I've ever had to stand up and stop a kid's presentation, I was like, nope, 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 that is not what's happened.
Wait, that's the term he used, blown out vagina?
Yeah, yeah. He's like, I guess they're all like, their vaginas are all like blown out now. And I'm like, okay,
Wow.
So
no.
how long was Spicoli in your class?
We were the last day of class. I did buy pizza, so we did.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, Damon's got question 2 for you.
Oh, okay.
Your friend Damon.
My friend Damon has question number 2.
What is the most memorable gift you've ever received?
Most memorable gift. It's probably my children's smiles.
You took
Oh.
those away from them?
A memorable gift. The thing is, I don't like objects very much, so I'm trying to think of like gifts that are. My brother gave me a sweet pocket knife once, made by a guy in Michigan. He takes old files that he gets at like Goodwill or whatever, like old, like the rusty kind that like your grandfather has, and he hones them down into pocket knives. So it's, and then he like makes his own little resin handles, and
That's
because
awesome.
because they're old timey steel, they get so sharp.
Oh
So
man, I smell Damon's next project right there.
Oh no, I've had home forge on my list for a long time.
Yeah.
I just can't figure out how to do it here. But no, that's actually, it's because of the nature of steel that needs to be used to make files, especially antique files or tools. It's all, I think it's case hardened. And it's just really perfect to make to hold an edge as well, because it used to have to hold thousands of
yeah,
them.
Yeah.
And so it's now it's a bad file, and it's very difficult to quote unquote sharpen a file. But you can just make it into a singular file, I guess, that becomes a pocket knife.
Yeah, and then on the backside, it's like a bottle opener, and then on the long edge, it still has a little bit of a file action. So that
Really?
knife, yeah,
Wow, that's great.
great little knife. They're made like
Nice.
the guy's like in Hale, Michigan, Hale,
Hmm.
Oh,
and things like Michael, if I remember right.
I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, and like you can custom order anything you want, and he'll
It-
just make you your own individual knife.
some of those
Nice.
guys get big bucks for that shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I can tell you one of my most memorable gifts was the giant grandfather clock that is standing in my house, which was from Dr. Thomas Mast. And it was actually before I met him. He was storing this clock at a mutual friend's pole barn, and I had remarked how cool it was. And our mutual friend told him that, oh, his friend Misha liked this clock, and he's like, oh, well, he can just have it. And at the time, like now, I know that you just have a general disdain for objects. But at the time, I was like, "Oh my god, I like this clock, and he just gave me this beautiful grandfather clock." So what a magnanimous guy, you know. Moving on to question 3, Tom, if you could have dinner with any fictional character, who would it be and why?
Oh, Misha, where do you come up with these?
Chat
I've never,
GPT mostly. Yeah.
I have never heard this one before.
really?
I'm blushing like Scarlett Johansson over here.
It's just the mouse
Fiction-
vaginas.
A fictional character. Man, I guess when I was a kid, it's weird. When I was a kid, my favorite fictional character was the Flash. So maybe I would still pick the Flash. Although, Jack Reacher, he's pretty cool. Maybe Jack. Have you watched The Reacher on Amazon?
No, I haven't.
I'd like to have like lunch with him in a small racist southern town, and then he gets angry and like stabs somebody to death with a spoon. That would be a good lunch.
That would be exciting. That would be an exciting lunch.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh. Also, slow horses, like those dudes are cool. Maybe a character played by Gary Oldman. Yeah, that's a good answer.
Like
Gary
Arnold?
Any character played by Gary Oldman. We'll roll for it.
What else has he been in other than Different Strokes?
That's going to call back to another episode where Damon said it's important to know the difference between Gary Oldman and Gary Coleman. All right, but of course we have no listeners, so nobody knows the lore of the show. Damon is up with question 4.
There's three questions in question 4. So I guess question
ask away.
Prime.
It's
question
multiple.
4 prime. We'll do that again.
Yeah.
Do you like the Beatles?
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say yes.
What is there a deeper answer that you're avoiding?
Well, it's just some people, the Beatles seem divisive now, and I will say I haven't like purposely listened to the Beatles in a long time. But when I was a kid, I loved the Beatles. I had like Beatles tapes, and I thought they were like pretty rad. So I have a very warm spot in my heart when I think about the Beatles. But like, have I purposely listened to the White Album in the past 5 years? No.
That's a much better answer than just yes.
Okay, question 4. I don't know what comes after prime.
You made up the prime system.
I don't know. I never got past 1.
Question 4B.
Okay. Who is your favorite Beatle?
That would have been Paul.
Right.
Why?
And I haven't thought about it.
Is it because of his looks or his songwriting?
Yeah, I thought
his voice?
I think
or his replacement.
Pete Best?
No.
No, the theory
I love to pretend that the Paul is dead thing is even plausible.
Right, the Abbey Road thing where he died and they replaced him with a lookalike.
Oh, the Strawberry Fields Forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like even when I was a kid, I kind of liked the bass, and when I was a kid, I liked those little pot boiler songs. I thought they were clever, and I can't write a song, and so anybody who can write a song, I think, is clever in general. But yeah,
Okay. And question 4, uh, part 3. What is your opinion of John Lennon?
full of himself.
Not
um,
anymore.
yeah, well, full of holes. But
This is,
no, I
by the way,
mean,
this series of questions Misha gave to me to bait me.
oh,
Well,
are
so
you?
there was a secret fourth category of questions that I call fight questions that are just about a topic that I know that me and Damon disagree. So no matter what the guest says, one of us can fight with them.
See, I felt like I was being baited, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
bait.
So
but
like,
I'll break in. I'll break in with a joke. What legendary creature keeps musical time best and dresses very well?
I don't know what.
A metronome. Uh,
God, I hate you.
all right.
But yeah, so
We
like, do I have to act? Do you want me to actually answer that question, or are we just
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
move on?
yeah.
we can
Uh,
move. It's up to
You can
you.
talk about how he's a wife beater and a misogynist, and how he was a
yeah, yeah,
junkie, and how he
yeah,
really didn't write any really good songs. He just kind of leveraged Paul really well.
yeah. So like, he has a couple really cool songs, but then when you actually learn about him, he seems like a total prick, and it's just like, I
The,
don't know about this guy.
the funniest to
Although, I
me
mean,
is when people are like, "Oh, well, Imagine is brilliant." Yeah, guess what? He didn't fucking write it.
What?
who wrote Imagine?
Yoko wrote the words to Imagine.
Well, I can
Well, she
believe
wrote the
that.
words. She didn't write the music.
Well,
Dude, it's
because
what
that's
I
what people
mean,
love about the song Imagine. It's its beautiful melody and its
right? And the
timeless
way it
sounds.
fits on fucking plaques that you hang in your house next to Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so this is the thing. Like, I remember, some people really get into the emotionality of a musician versus like, like their technical skill. And John seemed to have a good way of like doing the emotionality. Like he seemed to be good at being a rock star, basically, right?
He even just
Um,
had dad issues. I mean, his whole shtick was he just had everything I don't like about him is it's just daddy issues, daddy issues, daddy issues.
yeah, well, there's he's not alone.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why he resonated with so many people.
Could be.
I just I'll shut up about John Lennon after 2 comments.
That's a record because normally
Yep.
you go on for half an hour about him.
These are the two things that to me really sum up why I don't like John Lennon. And the first one is that on early recordings, he would detune his guitar just so his aunt could hear which guitar was his, which is just fucking stupid. Like, why can't she just be like the band he's in, right? No, I have to tell. Oh, that guitar that sounds like shit. That's you. Oh, it's you. And then the second one is just that photograph of them pausing the bed in for the maid to come in and change the sheets.
Yeah. No, so what I yeah, the bed in thing is one of the things I think of. I'm like, what a pompous.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
what
it
do
was
you
just
really? So can we start making fun of Mick Jagger now too, or is that?
I don't
Well,
really
we'll do
have a
that in
lot
the
of
we'll
issue
do that
with
in the
Mick Jagger.
denouement. I got a question number 5 for you, Tom.
5A?
No, yeah, 5 prime. Uh, so I met you in Michigan, but you've also lived in Florida. You live in
Yep.
California now, and you're originally from Ohio, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, what do you like most about living in each of those states,
So I
if
loved.
anything?
So there was. I was in North Florida. I lived just outside of Tallahassee, and they had all these like big live oak trees that had like Spanish moss off them, and so some of the trees there were really pretty. Um, the seafood there at the North Gulf Coast used to just be amazing. That was some good eating. Um, I liked when I lived in Cincinnati, I liked being in the city and like easily going to baseball games and walking to a bar, that sort of thing. The thing in Michigan, like the west coast of Michigan is really pretty. And the best friends I've ever made in my life, I made because of Michigan. I think like towns like Ipsy um, just have a good head on its shoulders in a certain way. Like just like I just kind of like the attitude of them. Um,
How
California,
long has it been since you've been in FC?
3 years.
Hmm, okay.
Um, Now, I'm not saying the government of Ipsy has a good head on our shoulders,
No, they left.
or,
It's really just become like Deadwood anymore. But go on.
that seems to happen to Ipsy like every 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because so there's like this weird like hopefulness about some of the people who are trying to like make things happen in Ipsy in their own scale,
For sure.
And I like that. Instead of just like selling out and moving to Orange County.
It turns out that the weakness to that optimism is when people start shitting in your doorway.
Yeah. Well, that's starting to happen in a lot of places now, man. Housing is too expensive. But the thing, California, the weather is really nice. The Mexican food is amazing.
Whereabouts are you in California?
So I'm in Orange County. So I'm in the town of Orange.
Okay.
So like literally last winter, at least twice, like I went skiing in the morning and then went to the beach for sunset. Like you can just do all of that, and it's just nice.
Awesome.
I don't know. I don't know offhand actually where Orange County is. I'm embarrassed to admit.
It's the suburbs of LA, basically.
Oh, okay. So is it south or north of LA?
It's south.
Okay, so it's so is it that the dead zone between San Diego and LA, basically?
I'm not that far south, but like
so it's still commutable. There. It's like okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we have trains that go into downtown and that sort of stuff.
Oh, okay. There's like a median between San Diego and LA where it was too far to commute to either, and that was where you could find affordable housing.
Right. Yeah. So so that's like Oceanside and San Clemente. There is, and another thing is that like there's all the just like this government land there, so there just isn't a lot of places to build.
Well, and you can't go east,
right? Yeah, because it's what other people like. What I didn't realize, people I talk about, like the small mountain by my house that a lot of people don't even really they treat it like it's a hill, but it's like 6,000 feet, and it's like just those hills over there. It's like, dude, that's bigger than most things in Vermont. Like,
yeah,
like when I go up to Big Bear, we get up to like almost 9,000. We get up to over 8,000 feet, and it's like, and that's just an hour drive from here.
One thing that kind of blew my mind was the proximity of Joshua Tree to civilization.
Right. Yes, and so this is the thing. When so Amy got relocated out here. That's one of the reasons why we chose to come out here, because of her job. And when we were asking people like, what do you like about there? And people are like, oh, I like how much nature is here. And I remember we just laughed about this, because I remember we lived in Ipsy. We lived right by the border to border trail. And so we're walking through there. We're walking through the trees and stuff, like proximity to nature. Look where we are, like deer come into our yard. But because there's these huge swaths of land, they're really like, I have amazing hiking closer to my house than I had in Michigan by a lot. Just because it's just so damn fast here.
Yeah.
It's big. Hey, so I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
So what does alloteric mean?
Aleatoric. So glad you asked. It's basically a synonym for random. Alea is Latin for die or dice.
Okay.
So like when Caesar crossed the Rubicon, he said, Alea jacta est, the die has been cast. And so there aren't a lot of great synonyms for random, but aleatoric is one of them. In episode 1, we rolled for the title of the show, and aleatoric was on a list of 6 possible descriptive words for randomness. And that's what we got.
See, that I knew this was going to be part of it, because like I think the last time I saw Damon was we went in public and played like the dice rolling game where we just had to do whatever the die told us.
Right. Yeah, that was Morton's list, which will be the topic of a show at some point. We haven't. We roll for like the topic every time.
I actually didn't know that we had met before.
That was when we went to.
See myself out. I'll see myself out.
I just didn't remember. Sorry. That's not. I'm not like, oh, fuck that guy. I remember you now.
He was either he was drunker then, or he's drunker now. No, I'm not sure which.
or both. Why not both?
I think I see Damon rocking some RC Cola. Is that right?
No, I've got. Well, I had 3 beverages. So First, I had a cup of coffee, and then some Mountain Dew Voltage, and then a New Holland Poet American Oatmeal Stout.
So that's the one thing, man. Like I remember when I first moved here, I was feeling homesick, and so I went to this massive beer store, and I was looking for Michigan beers.
Mm.
And this guy comes up and talks to me. And he's
Other
like,
than Bell's,
"Oh,
you mean?
yes, exactly. Other than
Yeah.
Bell's." And I don't even remember what I was looking for at the time. Um, I might have been looking for cider actually, but this guy tried to be like, "Oh, yeah, you're probably really." Yeah, I told him I moved from Michigan. I was looking for Michigan beers. He's like, "You're probably like really excited about our beers, huh?" I was like, "No, like." Like the number one ingredient in beer is water, and who do you think has better water?
Right, right.
Like what are you talking about? And so that's one of the little things. Like,
Like,
yeah,
bro, we've got like at least 153 varieties of IPAs
yes,
and one dark beer.
dude, they do not make brown beer out here. It's
No, I
like,
know it.
can I just have a brown ale? I just want to have one brown ale with dinner, like please. But
They
yeah,
do not. Yeah. My common thing, like when I was out there, was I go in there and the guy say, well, oh, what kind of beer do you want? I mean, what you mean, what kind of IPA do I want?
yeah.
And I was like, do you have any beer I can't see through?
All right, question 6, Tom. So you were a neuroscience professor for how many years?
Almost 10.
Almost 10 years. And
Yeah.
then you've made this career change into podiatry. And as you're studying the trade, what are like some hidden challenges or unexpected things that have come up?
Wait, did you go to U of M?
No, so I could do it fast. I went to Eastern, then University of Cincinnati, then Florida State, then U of M, then back to Eastern, then to California State Long Beach, and now I'm in podiatry school. I was in a very niche thing. I was studying like taste and smell for most of my life.
Gotcha.
Um,
Go ahead.
but
Sorry.
the hardest thing for me has been two things. Actually, it's like doubled, so it's kind of the same. I'm surprised at how rude some people are to students,
Mm,
and I'm also surprised at like some of the at Eastern we were all really really trying to do the most scientifically sound versions of teaching possible,
mm.
and a lot of people just kind of wing it still. That has really surprised me.
How does one wing it?
You just kind of like make a PowerPoint and talk, and
Okay.
like you don't worry about like, oh, the students are going to get confused here, so I want to
Oh,
put
I'm
it in
sorry.
this
You
order.
mean the teaching part? I thought you meant the
Yeah,
lab work because that was the thing. I was like, how do you wing lab work?
yeah. So like a lot of these people, they would never wing a surgery, but they'll wing a talk. It's like,
Hmm.
but we're all paying tuition for this talk, buddy.
Right.
Um, so that's been a little surprising.
Interesting.
All right. Over to Damon for question
Oh,
7.
um, would you rather have the ability to rewind time by 10 minutes or pause time for 10 minutes?
Oh, pause time. Yeah, yeah. Because then,
So you would rather steal shit than predict the future.
yes, I guess that's probably true.
Technically, both are stealing. Well, one's cheating, but yeah.
Yeah,
Cheat? Yeah. Do you want to cheat and trick people, or do you want to just steal shit and get away?
but
That's what that question says to me.
yeah, there was a TV show when I was a kid that starred some girl whose dad was like an alien, and she could do this thing where she touched her fingers, she could pause time, and
Mm.
then she got really good at hitting a baseball because of that. And I was like, oh my god, dude, if I would make it like I'd be an all star.
Right.
Wouldn't
I
you lose? So you lose inertia, wouldn't you? I mean, half of the velocity of returning a pitch, right? It would be the incoming speed.
that's true. Like, yeah, if
Well, you
that,
would have to time it. You have to start time again just as you're connecting with the ball,
But it
right?
would
yeah,
turn
that's
into
what she did.
t-ball.
She would turn into t-ball for me. That's right. And
Yeah.
so
So you
hell,
couldn't.
dude,
You,
I'm sorry, I'm talking over you.
no, no, that's fine. I was talking over you.
I think your point is I wouldn't hit very many homers. And I think absolutely you're right. But
Yeah.
Ichiro's in the Hall of Fame, or is going to be. Pete Rose, will never be, but he should be. And those are guys slapping singles.
Yeah, he just couldn't stop gambling.
No,
Well, but you know what we should do? We should put Pete Rose into the Random Reality Hall of Fame because he was trying to.
He didn't get busted for betting on his own team. He just couldn't. Oh, did he? I thought it was just he just couldn't stop gambling. And they were like, "You can't bet on baseball, dude."
Yeah, he bet on baseball. There's evidence he bet on his own team, and he just wouldn't stop lying about it. They gave him an option. If he had just stopped lying about it, they would have forgiven him. But he couldn't handle being wrong.
It's that
haircut. That ridiculous bowl cut he just kept his whole life.
Yeah, it's just like Prince Valiant I don't know. Fuck Pete Rose.
Is he going to go on your list of people who are pieces of shit?
No, he got punished.
He's not half as bad as John Lennon.
John Lennon didn't get punished. Except for the shot to the head.
Except for the bullet.
Yeah.
Right, karma.
That was the CIA. That
karma
had nothing to do with karma.
Yeah.
How come nobody ever came after Salinger? That's what I want to know.
For writing a book?
Yeah, Catcher in the Rye killed more people than...
well, because they went after Marilyn Manson for Columbine. Why didn't they go after Salinger for Saran?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He wrote Teddy. That was a good short story. But...
All right. Well, Dr. Thomas Mast, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Do you have anything?
Is that all the questions?
That's all the questions we have at this time, sir.
Is any of this publishable?
Yeah, we'll edit
absolutely.
down to about probably 6 or 7 minutes. Yeah.
It's not going to be 6 or 7
I'm
minutes.
just kidding. I'm joking. It's a joke. Okay. By the way, last week when we recorded, we forgot something.
What's that?
We didn't have a quote to end the show.
Is that a law that every podcast has to end with a quote?
No, I just thought I thought that was a thing.
It was a thing until it wasn't. It could be a thing again.
Although
it's random.
I did go back to my bookshelf and I dug up the aforementioned Sabotaging the American Workplace book.
Should we get an anecdote out of this one?
I think...
Are they too long?
Let me do it because I think I'll probably remember enough to summarize.
But so can I roll for a page and you can summarize the thing? Or do you want to... Because if you just look through and pick one, that's not random.
No. That's fine. Yeah, you do the random part and then I'll look at it and hopefully I remember without...
All right. So
I did read this book 20 years ago, but...
you can also take time to read it and then summarize because we can edit the pause out.
Or at least skim it, yeah.
So there are, let's say, 164 pages in here. I'm going to go, now I'm plugging another URL. I'm going to go to yard.quest to the cheese director page to use our brand new random number generator. You can go on yard.quest/tools. If you don't want to click on cheese director on the menu, you can just go to yard.quest/tools. Get yourself a random number. And how many pages did I say this had? 165? 164? I can't remember. What did I say? 164. So I'm on yard.quest/tools, putting in, give me a random number from 1 to 164, and I hit generate, and boom, 70. So on page 70, there should be an anecdote. Oh, it's the back half of it. You can also get a random word on there if you're looking for a writing prompt or some other creativity bit. We'll talk more about how to use that for creativity.
Actually, this is really short, so I can just summarize. So
great.
So the way this is organized is it says the job that the person had and then their name, right? And so this was a gopher, Spencer. The place was an old ice house which had been converted to a wholesale furniture and design mart with hundreds of designer showrooms. I was one of the people who worked for the building manager. We had to do things like water the plants and replace light bulbs. If the tenants of the building needed something, we were there to help them. We were basically gophers. When I first started working there, the manager liked me, but then he realized he'd married a monster. The slimeball manager had this cutesy idea to promote the building. He bought this block of ice every day and stuck it out on this old scale in front of the building in reference to what the building was originally built for. I was friends with one of the owners of a small company in the building who had their cocktail every afternoon at 4 p.m. The ice-making machine that made the party ice was broken and had been for several days. She would call up the office every day and complain, but the boss never did anything about it. This woman got very upset because they didn't keep the ice machine in good repair. As you can imagine, not having ice can seriously hamper the beginning of a cocktail hour. So she had me paged and sent up to her showroom. She said, "You got to do something about this ice." I said, "No problem. I'll be back in a minute." I figured we weren't meeting our commitment to the building's tenants. The cocktail hour wasn't happening. Cocktail hour must happen. So I grabbed a sledgehammer and with one of my other goofball gophers, went down the block of ice and smashed it into 2 million pieces. We picked up as much party-sized ice as we could, delivered it to the showroom, and proceeded to have cocktails with the owner.
And there you have it. So we didn't do the listener challenge.
Oh, I know. We do everything. Do we always have to do a listener challenge? Is that
We
a
do.
rule?
That's one of the selling points of the show. We do have to do a listener challenge. And you had an idea based on the fact, because Tom is a friend of mine that he moved away, and I haven't been in that close touch with him until we just got in touch, and I said, hey, you want to be on the podcast? So Damon had an idea prompted by that. You want to go for it?
I was just saying, make a list of 6 friends that you haven't spoken to in a while that, that was an intentional. And roll on that list, or however many you get, roll on that list, and then contact one of them and just get in touch.
Yeah, you could write down any number of friends and then go to yard.quest/tools and
There you go.
get a random number from 1 to that number, and then contact that friend immediately upon getting the number.
Yep.
There you go. That's your listener challenge. And as always, keep in touch, and we'll see you next time.
Right on.